project के इसमें ये लगा दो and put this. I mean,
I think cost is not the prime criteria.
That's today's day and age.
Yeah. No, any
or
age.
Or it was never.
Any age.
Okay.
Even when I work with government projects, I tell my client, first disqualify the other architects for my capability.
Okay.
And then open the tender, so that I am the lone stranger available for you to say it's not L1 anymore.
Round of applause for architect, please. Thank you.
So I don't think cost should be the pinch to a perfection.
Correct.
So the technology of the window and the quality of detail will definitely take precedence. And you were right about it when you were talking about UPV systems. When the window was introduced to the market, it was twice the cost of an aluminum section.
Correct.
And the developers or the community or the client did not blink. Today, you actually get a good quality UPVC window to the same cost as that of a good quality timber window.
Correct.
So therefore, but the client makes a choice because he understands what he can get as a visual connect.
Probably there is a lot of choice available.
Exactly.
And that's effort of the entire industry put together, who've been going to everybody to try to sell and educate.
Totally.
So do you buy everybody's bullshit? Usually whatever guy comes, he gives you gag and just...
Yeah, but
you analyze it.
If the performance is good, definitely you'll want to hear it more. And not that aluminum is anyway behind.
No, absolutely.
It's just that there are a lot of companies that have come forward now to remanufacture those systems and sections here in this part of the world. So that's very encouraging. So that technology also is super impressive.
I mean, they're all good products. Even wood is a great product, but it has different applicability as per different areas. Deepak, next question's over to you, bud.
Just one last one to you, sir, before I switch the button on to Philip, and I'm going to have an interesting chat with him. Is Windows serious business today?
One cannot deny that for sure, because of the volume at which we people are multiplying, and also at the volume at which people are being affordable to buy better technology spaces in this part of the world. Definitely it's changing perspective. If you see what used to happen 8 years back, I used to cringe and not even bother about evaluating a Windows system because the developer would make a decision. But today that's not the point. You find banners where nobody is shying away saying, the minimum cost of the Sky Villa is 8 CR, and you don't blink. I think that is the age of change. And our capabilities to buy into that technology is supreme. And timber is beautiful. It's sustainable, and it is, as long as you buy re-engineered or harvested timber, even the sections of timber have started replicating aluminum and UPVC, which is good news for all of you guys.
I just want to add one statistic. There are 226 UPVC window manufacturers today in this country. So hats off to this industry. They've done a great job. Of course, there is aluminum and wood, but this is now getting, numbers keep growing every day. Good for all our businesses. So Deepak.
Amit, we hear from the top that cost is, well, not the criteria. But I'm going to ask that question to Philip, and Philip's already smiling. He comes across that question every day, every meeting.
No, Philip gets to hear your product is very expensive.
Yeah,
Kick it out.
Yeah.
And well,
that's what I'm being told, at least. Yeah.
Right.
No.
So,
yeah, Paul. I mean, it's definitely a different picture from the other point of view that we have here. Is the products are available and they're expensive, but the lack of the specification from the architect or the builder side actually leads to a substandard application of a lot of the wonderful technology that is available here in the market. UPVC windows are meant to insulate, are meant to be secure, and are meant to be functional for a very long time, and that certainly doesn't come for free. So if you want a warranty for 10 years, that's a completely different product than a warranty for 1 year.
Well, I think Philip was actually waiting for the opportunity. I didn't put the question, but he had the answer all right, ready for him. So anyway, well, I had one interesting point which I saw from the last presentation which came from Tiago was, and that's the point Philip mentions just now, that when a window is under design stage, it needs a lot of parameters to be considered right in the beginning before it actually goes beyond the drawing stage. Now this could include looking at the specification of glass, it could have hardware, it could have silicon, it could have a lot of other components. But then the question back to you, Philip, how, you've been told that the window has to be sealed, it's got to be noise proof, it's got to be security, and yet you're at the end of the ladder. It's back to the original question. How do you put all these things together, make sure the window works, and yet are able to be cost effective?
Well, that's a big question. I mean, there is many options that you have to open a window, first of all. And the opening types I'm talking about, you can slide a window open, you can open it to the outside, you can open it to the inside, you can lift and slide it, tilt and slide. There's many ways you can do this. And the general application here in India is to either slide it or open it to the outside. And these are actually, if you want to have a quality window, these are probably the worst two of the lot to have enduring a high quality window, basically. The most sophisticated hardware that is being used worldwide now is actually inward opening hardware. And then these lift and slides are more sophisticated hardware, slide and fold hardware, where you can have the largest sash sizes, you can have the most convenient operation, and you can have the most amount of glass without any obstruction of profiles or grills or whatever is there. So what you're trying to achieve from a hardware point of view at least, or what you're trying to achieve if you want to use a modern window is, first of all, compression. The compression can be achieved by interlocking components of the hardware. You have a sash operation, that is the gear. You operate it with the handle. That moves cams up and down. The cams go behind the strikers. And that is what presses the sash to the frame. And the more of these locking points, what we call it, you have in a window, the more tightly it will be shut against the frame, and that makes then basically the insulation. That makes you air tightness, that gives you the sound insulation, that gives you the thermal insulation. Now, if you're doing that with a sliding window, you can only have this on one side. So you're not going to be as efficient. If you're having this with a casement window, you cannot go the size, like there's always a drawback. And the four-sided locking is only possible, or mostly possible, with an inward opening window, and that doesn't sell well here in India. Like, people want to open the windows to the outside. So there's still a lot of education that has to be done here in the market, but this will automatically come because the architects, they ask for larger and larger sashes and moving walls, as we always say it, and then eventually they only have the option to take premium hardware because they are the only ones who can carry this.
Well, I understand what you're trying to get to, but the point is, at the end of the day, you have a window which has gone wrong. You've got jammed windows, you've got problems, you've got windows not working, inside, outside, doesn't matter. The conditions are hard. It's a bit difficult to overcome. This is not, we've got fabrication issues. And I'm going to address the next question to two very distinguished people, Mr. Verghese, and I'll obviously come into the crowd to put a question to one of the guys, one from aluminium and one from PVC, just to keep the balance about. Who is the person to blame? Who do you blame for the whole thing? Where do you think is the problem coming from? What in your opinion is the challenge when it comes to getting windows underway in the right manner? First from the aluminium perspective, and then I'll pick up somebody from the crowd to say something on the PVC front as well. Some people who are doing PVC windows as well.
Here I will blame the whole team. If you are very serious about the window, right from person who suggests this.
Can we have a clap for him? He's been very honest. It's everybody in to blame for themselves.
Okay, the game is over now. Everybody can go home. This is over.
Till the person operate day-to-day basis. I share a small example here. When we do our sliding windows, the simplest form of sliding windows, where it requires a just push and move like this. House owner or the client used to bang like this. Within month time, this window will not be operable. Then blame comes to the contractor or those who fabricate it, or ultimately it will go to the architect. You bloody designed this, it is not working. But the whole team, I insist my team to give a demo, a small demo. This window is to be operated this way. And we are so careless about it. and we will have it, end of the day.
But do you think, sir, that it's important that the specifications or the technical or the design approval is done right at the inception, rather than moving backwards as we move ahead?
Right from the beginning. But I don't think specification, it will not contradict with the design. It can go hand in hand. It is both part of the coin. We have to take it right from day one. The day architect suggests a window, specification should be in place, and also we should not harm the architectural intent or whatever. It go hand in hand.
I'm going to pass this question to somebody who's been doing
I have chosen.
PVC. You've already chosen somebody,
Yes,
right?
I have chosen right here.
All right.
From Hyderabad, Aparna Windows.
So, Mr. Chandrasekhar, I'd like to have your opinion on this. Thank you very much for being part of the audience. The problem in an aluminium workshop is different to what it is in a PVC workshop. So, what's your challenge when it comes to the challenges or the challenges that Mr. Verghese has just labeled out? I mean, do you face similar challenges? Do you face the same problems in doing PVC windows?
Yeah, I may not be very specific and straight to your question, but let me tell you, Indian market is one which encourages low-priced products. We make a little over 7,000 windows a month. But what I found was, people don't ask for quality, they ask for price. If quality was insisted in India, Roto would have been on top of the list. How many people ask for Roto hardware? How many people ask for Comerling profiles? How many people ask for Mackay sealants? The reason is, today no one cares whether it is a lead-free profile or a leaded profile. The customer only says, what is the price? They don't want to know whether there is lead in it, whether it is environmentally not acceptable. The customer only sees the price. Even some of the very big architectural firms, consulting firms, have been insisting on price. We are also working with a couple of large engineering companies in the country. They say, I don't care whether you use Comerling or XYZ. What is the price? Whether you give it for 300 rupees or 280 rupees, and someone is quoting 279 rupees, that's how the market is. Let's be very honest to ourselves. It's been very bad. We are there facing people. Let's not praise each other by talking about quality. I find that Indian market has not encouraged good products, and even our window and door manufacturer, some association is there. They have specified some standards, and those tests cannot be performed in India. I have gone through, and some of the tests cannot be performed in India. There are no facilities anywhere in India, and I don't know why we write such standards. I'm a little harsh because basically I'm a factory man. I'm not a marketing guy.
Well, we're definitely on two sides of the spectrum here. I mean, we're talking on two different ends, and I appreciate you being very honest about it.
And even in hardware, if you see, the hardware that is available in the market does not suit all profiles. What is suitable for VECA is not suitable for Comerling. What is suitable for Comerling is not suitable for Rehau. And what is suitable for Fenesta is not suitable for Comerling. I do not know why there is a lack of standardization. I think it's a deliberate attempt by all these profile companies to keep their own identity. I'm sorry, gentlemen, if I'm being a little too straight. I've been into this industry and only in the last 4 or 5 years. I don't have as much experience as you have. Basically, we are also builders. We also into construction. We are the largest residential space company in Hyderabad, Aparna Constructions. So we have been going through all this, and we find that there is no cohesion in all these companies producing products for windows. The hardware company pulls it in a different direction. The profile company pulls it in a different direction. And quality is the least consideration.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm going to put the question to somebody who's doing both aluminum and PVC windows.
We also do aluminum windows.
All right. All right, sir. Well, yeah, I'm going to give it to
You have a chosen
Balaji.
one?
I'm going to have an opinion coming from you. Sir, question coming to you.
Balaji?
Yeah. What's your opinion? You're on both sides of the spectrum. You're doing aluminum, you're doing PVC, and in my opinion, aluminum has much bigger challenges as compared to standardization over PVC. So what's your take? What's your take on both counts?
As he rightly said, the demand for quality is not there, and whatever he said is right. The profiles are not matching with hardware. If we are doing only commerlink, we have restricted with using some very few hardware. Not able to use the best one because they are not fitting to our profiles.
So, sir, why don't we take this right in the beginning? Why does it kind of move on to the stage when things do not come to fit each other, and then we have people working against each other? Why is it not at the inception?
See, I completely agree with the frustration that is reading out of this discussion. But that is not the means to its end. I completely disagree with the first gentleman who talked about the complexities of cost. You have to educate the process. If you want to buy marble flooring, and if you cannot afford the cost, just because you want marble flooring, don't go put the cheapest, stupidest, shitty marble. You don't have to make the whole building full of windows if you cannot afford the cost. So, cost is an important intrinsic criteria of a project. But buy the best what the market can read. When you do a high-rise building, for example, the gentleman sitting next to me has built one of the tallest towers in Bangalore. The specification of that window system has to be super accurate. Otherwise, don't do a 120-meter tall tower. You have to use presidential four-way locking system hinge. There is no other method. So you have to educate the architect. I agree that the specifications go to a low end or dilapidation. There is a lot of frustration, and somebody will come and ask you for half the price. This is part of the process. It's part of the ordeal. Whether a person is manufacturing a small-scale window system or somebody is getting an order for 650 crores, the point of negotiation is the same. And trust me, when I meet a fabricator, I don't know whether the woman is here in this crowd, she was my classmate. And when I have a conversation with her, and she is working with an aluminum company as a partner, there is so much joy in understanding the technology. And I think that is important. Educate the goddamn architect. Make him understand to reason better. Then he'll buy your product better.
If he doesn't listen,
sorry?
If he doesn't listen,
you have to make
many
him...
times, you don't know, I know. So that's the reality as well. Don't teach me, okay? So,
which is why I said that I meet people who are very intelligent.
There's a big fear that people don't want to say because they say, okay, we'll be...
Or if he's not available.
Yeah, probably. I take to the next question to Tapanda. Give me a room next time at Gardenia. I'll be very nice to you and ask you all nice questions. So you built some awesome buildings. The Gardenia, I've not been there. That's why I'm chasing, get a nice room for me. And we have this Gurgaon, the Green Center. So to cut all the technical stuff out of this, how do you choose your vendors for your window systems? What criterias and let's say the thumb rule fundamentals?
One point of clarification, I am not from the hotels vertical of ITC.
Sorry,
I am from a vertical which is known as Central Projects Organization.
Okay.
We do projects for our own fraternity, that means inside ITC.
Okay.
So I can say that I have got the luxury of choosing materials.
Excellent.
I have got the luxury of kind of investigating more time, resource and energy, and of course finally maybe a little more money to choose what is best available in the market. In that process, I cannot deny the fact. in the process, we cannot deny the fact that we are in a kind of subcontinent, I mean, in a country where this syndrome of kitna deti hai, you might have seen that ad, no?
Yeah, yeah.
Kitna deti hai, that you cannot do away. I mean, you cannot wish away. There will be a challenge of efficiency to whosoever comes in this country. Whether it's a German company, Japanese company, you have seen the cars, the automobile sector is one of the examples, that finally you have to talk value for money if you are working in this country. That is one part.
Right.
Second part, as far as choosing vendors is concerned, see, these windows, as we are gathering since evening, is a highly engineered product. Years of research has gone to kind of finalize maybe one kind of profile or one kind of hardware. But when it is being specified, I have seen we are doing a large residential complex in a place called Guntur in Andhra Pradesh, which is very hot. 48 degrees centigrade, it goes in summer. When we start looking for windows, we get to see, I mean, the architects of the project, they are not very aware about a detailed specification because these are engineered products and the architects are specifying it. So there is a catch lies in that perhaps, because then you float a tender in the market which is very, you can say...
Basic.
Yeah, basic.
Right.
Is basic. And the installation part of it, for example, the kind of foam you talked about, you will never find in that specification.
Right.
And it is a fact of life that when the masons will leave and you'll have to do a kind of window fitting, there will be gaps that you can't control because skilled labor is in short supply and whatever you get, you have to put on a project.
So how do you overcome that in terms of from your ITC
we are trying
perspective?
our best to kind of learn from all you guys, like from the manufacturers, and we are trying to put the specification right in the beginning so that the competition is fair.
So you make an apple-to-apple comparison once you put the specs in place.
I cannot say we are successful in certain cases, like maybe glass to some extent, because there are other parameters, there are many technical parameters that go into it.
Correct.
And you can have a more fair competition in case of glazing, structural glazing. But in case of windows, which comes in the residences and all, I think we are trying to get a specification right so that you don't land up with only one vendor whom you know for 5 years in UPVC windows and just ask him to supply.
So
you don't want to run into that situation.
So you think, sir, the Windows needs more exposure? I mean, it needs to be more into the forefront than what it is today. Because when you go into a residential building today, I mean, people designing residential houses today, you have the best, or you can have the best in a lot of aspects. I mean, you can have the best flooring, you can have the best faucets, you can have the best kitchens, names, brands, everybody knows everything. But nobody knows anything about windows. I mean, the facades is a different industry, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, the facades they came in rapidly, but the windows are coming in now. We have a lot of people here who've spent a lot of time developing windows, but then yet they're not recognized. So how do you turn that around? How does Windows get its due recognition?
See, a couple of things is that windows as a part of architectural elements is that they are becoming, the moment you go for standard profiles or UPVC, they are all starting to look the same. So as such, window as an element of aesthetics, I don't know, in the present residential complexes that we see are disappearing. I mean, other than the villas that you're talking about, when we are talking about apartments particularly, the windows are becoming standard, functional, they should be able to prevent noise and all that. So maybe the requirement is so functional rather than aesthetic that you don't think twice. For example, you will be given as a kind of occupier of a flat, or if I'm building a township for ITC, then we'll research a lot on the type of marble to be put. We'll research a lot on possibly the interior material to be put for various different items. But there is no research on windows. I mean, you have to say UPVC windows, that's what people know, and the U value, etc. of the glass, so that it's a Griha 4-star or 5-star kind of residence, and that's it. So you don't, I mean, today evening, I must thank ZAK for this, that I got to know a lot of technical aspects, which possibly will now try to incorporate so that we get a very standardized comparison when we are doing some...
So that's a great step forward. Thank you.
Because this is what is lacking, and possibly more awareness seminars like this,
Absolutely.
or awareness meetings like this are required for people like us who are finally purchasing the thing.
Right. I'm going to ask Mr. Prasad, you've done some of the most beautiful buildings in Bangalore. I mean, Brigade is well known for the quality it delivers. How important is Windows in your aspect? I mean, do you look down the line and see, well, is Windows being actually given the due knowledge? Is everything falling in place? it's not only the windows, as he mentioned, it's more about glass, it's more about hardware, it's putting all the components, it's about fabrication, it's about getting the window on the site, making sure there's no leakage, it's about silicon coming in.
I'll add one
It's
more
all-
facet to this question,
Sure.
and no offense, sir. Dil se. Okay, like I asked Ravi sir that how important is a window to you, and when have you started taking it seriously? From a personal point of view, as a senior person in the organization, how much time do you give to the window spec as compared to Italian Granito and Grohe and Kohler and so on? Honestly,
I can be very frank in this.
sir.
Windows is no more a bought out item. It used to be earlier, but now windows are designed. We make it a point, particularly for our recent projects where we have very big size windows. Generally what happens nowadays is, from the aesthetics point of view, architects tend to give bigger size windows. In certain of our projects, we have even gone to window heights being 2.4 as opposed to 2.1, which it used to be earlier. So because of the size of the window itself, we ensure that even the windows are sometimes, depending on the nature and size of the project, windows are designed by the facade consultants who design the facades. So we are going into facade consultants for design of windows even before we specify the windows. The specifications are very clear, very clearly spelled out as to what the sections have to be, how the drainage system has to be. All these are very clearly spelled out in the specification. One is that. The other thing what we also ensure is, one thing before I go to the selection of the vendor, I have to say here is that I don't agree with some of the speakers who said that people don't have knowledge of windows. See, nowadays the customers literally know every component of the building. Whatever goes into the building, the customer is well aware. I cannot take the customer for granted saying that he doesn't know about the windows. Definitely he knows very well about how the window should be and what should go into a window. So I have to be very careful before I really specify a window for my building.
And you are consciously careful of that.
Absolutely.
It's
We
not
are
that you take it for granted.
No, that's what
Hoga
I'm saying.
dekha jayega type.
That is why I said it is not a bought out item anymore. It's not a bought out item anymore. It is designed and then only we select the windows.
So
and
as important a window is as a fitting or a sanitary or a grohe, it's become
absolutely,
as important.
yeah, it's become as
So we
important.
will live, gentlemen, a round of applause. We will all live inside. Thank you, sir. I take the same question to Farid. You've been selling to this industry. What is your perspective? Are you taken seriously enough now? Of course, it's a long journey, 8 years, I know how it is. But are you taken more seriously now than you were, or what?
Yes, for sure. And the seriousness speaks that when we set up our production facility, that speaks that, okay, we are very serious for this market and we are committed to the market to provide the best of the quality, what we are famous all across the world. And window has been bread and butter elsewhere in the globe. So for this market also, we are very serious for this window business.
No, I'm talking about how seriously are you taken by the architects and the developers?
See, again, it's a very contradictory statement.
I'm talking today. Forget about what was in the past because it's not relevant. Let's just talk today and forward.
See, again, it's a mixed reaction. There are architects who are very quality conscious. There are architects, again, they want to go for quality, but they're pressurized by the client. They're okay, we want to go for the price. So it's a mixed reaction.
So you would agree with what Mr. Chandrasekhar said to some extent?
Yes, I would agree. I would agree. See, again, we have to look not into the niche part, we have to look into the mass part. And the mass is price sensitive. The niche is only 3-4%. So if we have to look into the majority, then we have to look into the sentiments of that market also.
I take the next question to Mr. Manjunath Prasad. Personal experience as well, I'm sure for everybody. There is this fabulous word in all specifications, A, B, C or equivalent. You might have done the best of effort and that equivalent screws you up big time. Because you realize you've done all the hard work, you've done all the training to the respectable community, and there comes along an equivalent, and you realize you lost the job. So, Prasad sir, question for you. Again, I don't want to go too much into the past, but in today's day and age, Why can't specs be made with just the products that you want to use rather than putting the word equivalent? Because then that equivalent thing becomes another nightmare for everybody else, and everybody's trying to do politics and God knows whatever to take care. Can that word, sir, especially for you, sir, it comes from you. Can that equivalent word get out? Is possible? For both of you, actually.
Yeah, can I answer that first? See, I don't think the word equivalent need to go out of the spec at all. I'll tell you why. See, it could so happen that a particular architect who specifies a particular product for that particular application would not have probably come across a particular make or a product. So we have to give a fair chance to all those, all the players in the market. We have to give a fair chance. So if there is something which is missed out, or if there is something which the architect has not specified, a particular product, it has to be given a fair chance. I don't think it has to be taken out, but the engineer who's actually buying, or the purchase guy who's actually buying, should ensure that he's comparing apple to apple. He has to ensure that the equivalent product is technically competent to the other products that have been mentioned in the spec.
But if the equivalent specs are in place, then you can compare an apple to an apple. Ravi sir, how would you?
Yeah, I agree to some extent that it can be abused. What I request also the fabricator or the aluminum or the UPVC community is to invest in drawing. It is very important whether you're a small-time fabricator or a large fabricator company. Do your drawings accurate, specific to the building. Do not buy a standard extrusion section system which is floating in the market, manipulate that section and operate that as, okay, it can take, though the aluminum per square meter weight is probably 2.5 kgs more, doesn't matter. Because Jindal is manufacturing, the extrusion is there, so the system works. I think we need to step back from that. In our office, even when we do a timber window, we make sure that it is drawn right. To the last line, we understand how the water can penetrate. I think that is important, that your community has to equip yourself with the ability of getting the drawing quality of information super accurate. Then the architect and the developer will understand it better. Second, I also disagree that India is a market where we look at only affordable scales and cheapo scales. Today, BMW is going to survive because he's going to make a car which is going to give 27 kilometers a liter of diesel. Whether we like it or not, that is value engineering. Don't call it, this is like Pitt's cost. That's not what we are doing here today for. When you operate a volume, I'm sure a good developer will want to exercise the cost compliance of repetition. He does that to an architect also. It's not that the price has to be primordial. You're not doing a Louis Vuitton. It's not always that the bag has to cost 36,000 bucks. So therefore, there has to be a quality of detailed communication. Understand the quality of the junction accurately, then equivalent survives. Otherwise, it can be abused.
But, sir, in my opinion, the challenge lies that, the right fact. I mean, I'll speak on behalf of a couple of people. Philip's one of them, and I have a dear friend, Saeed Anwar, who's here. We're all part of a community which sells hardware for Windows. The question is that, in the beginning, when we're proposing the right product for the right window, we're heard. Everybody's heard. Everybody's told down, but everything coming towards the end boils down to cost. I mean, I'm not talking about 8 crore rupee villas. I'm talking about, the housing for the future, mass housing. I'm talking about apartments which are going to cost 40, 50 lakhs and go up to about 70, 80 lakhs. A house that most people can afford, most middle class people can afford. But when it gets to those specs, the challenges start growing bigger and bigger, and the costs start coming down. And then, you get into compromises, and that's where the equivalent word comes into the fore. So that's where we're looking. But the fact is, I mean, we have an August gathering here, but does the word actually go down the line? does it actually get there? Does the right guy actually get to know what he has to put down?
I disagree that it's not going to go down. You know, the understanding, as always, is that the process of getting the accurate has to be right. Bring in the specialist. It's like one of the gentlemen here mentioned about bringing a glass specialist. Bring in a glazing consultant into a project much ahead of time if the scale can occupy. If you're talking about affordable housing, don't buy a nano, buy a bullet for the same goddamn cost. That's a beautiful vehicle. So I'm saying that the point is you cannot just be fascinated that you want to have a car and go buy a lakh car. That is not the accuracy of measure. So the point is, even when you do affordable housing, there has to be passive methods of creating. Do not spec a building with, more than 30% of the windows requisite for a unit like that. Be conscious of the design. That will drive efficiency.
But sir, the question, we come around the circle and the question comes, kitna deti hai? Now that's the part he said. I mean, that's where it all boils down to. I mean, the first question is, when you enter, how much is it going to cost?
Trust me, there are more better, capable people around the planet who will say that kitna deti hai than any one of us. And I like that one word which Biyani mentioned in one of the economic forums. He said, "Hum garv se bolenge ke hum kanjoos hai." There is nothing wrong in being evaluation accurate. But what is important is don't buy substandard. That is important at the end of the day. Nothing wrong in negotiating the best cost for the price that you want to get, whatever
It
is.
also goes the other way around. Don't sell substandard so that nobody can buy something.
Totally.
So learn to say no and have zero tolerance. Have standards to begin with. Probably.
Amit?
And one other thing that we generally do is we go by two-part tenders. Okay, the first part is the technical part. We ensure that all the participants in the tender are technically equal or on the same level, so that we ensure that only later we go into the commercial aspects.
I want to take this question to Manish. Your experience about tenders. Can I get some? Manish, how many times you were commercially accepted and technically rejected and you still did the job?
See, about the technical tenders, we can all specify in the technical tenders, but everything boils down to the cost again. Means you can have a wonderful tender set with all the technical specifications, but when you are in the commercial section, then everything, it has to come down. It has happened so many times with us. The projects when we code, and then there is a commercial section to it, and there's a technical section. So we take care about the technical section. Accordingly, we prepare our price proposal. But that price proposal is absolutely changed once we are on the last stage, because it's all again the technical front, and then the price is never linked to the technical front because there are two different teams to it.
Manish, I have a question for you. How much time does it typically take you from the first time that you approach a developer to going down to the contracts, and what are the challenges you face? What are the things that you think need to be set right so that things move much more smoother?
In my opinion, it's only the specification. I would not just say the architects, I would not just say the builders, but it's just both of them because today architects are also educated, they give us good specifications. But then when the builders are there or the developers, they say, Manish, the cost is not right. Okay, we can compromise on the specification. Just give us a window, it should work, it should look nice, and that's the end of the story. I've done many projects till now where I've seen this problem. I've done projects where I'd hate to enter the apartment and see the window is not working.
So what you're saying is that, well, you want something which is given to you in the beginning where the specifications are set forward and it moves in that direction.
Absolutely. It should be a backward integration where we have a set standard, set specifications. Accordingly, a system should be designed, keeping aside the quality. I'll give you an example. We are doing a project in Colombo. And in Colombo, the price is a secondary concern. They give a standard specifications. According to the specifications, we have to quote. And according to the specifications, when we quote, there is a price negotiation, and then the projects are finalized, whosoever has the best price for the same.
I guess you have been doing more projects in the north. Come down south. There are better.
Also, we are called in the south as well.
Yeah,
But the same thing. I'll give you example.
You will find much better developers here.
No. I was with Prestige. I was with Prestige 3 months back, and the same thing happened. The same thing happened. That's why I'm telling you.
All right, I'm going to take that away.
Thanks,
We're going to keep this an open forum. We're not going to go into names.
सबसे important चीज है जो usually in a window, all our life we saw through the window. So what was most important was the window is nothing but glass. So that takes me to Mr. Deepak Malik.
You've had the pleasure of being on the best seat so far, so you're on the shot now.
And you're the only one who's not like kind of all of them have already lost their seats already. So, sir, what would you say in terms of the role that your glass, your processing, and how simple funda, how seriously are you considered today with your customers as from the past, and how do you see this coming along from a glass perspective?
With the awareness of glass having gone up in the windows because of the expanse being more, there is a lot of knowledge which has been imparted as well. And that has made a difference to the selling of glass for the windows. It has, for the simple reason that the customer now understands that when he is going to have an expanse or a size of the panel which is going to be very big, he has to have certain technical aspects which have to be inculcated into making that panel. And that's made life for us much easier. If you have the right machinery to make such panels, it becomes very easy for us now to explain this to the customer or to the architect, and it doesn't take much time for us to sell it.
But sir, 85-90% of our residential dwellings are still single glass. What do you
Annealed glass.
Annealed glass.
Sheet glass.
I would say it was. It was. Let's not talk about budget housing at this moment. Okay, budget housing takes the biggest toll. But if you go into areas like, we all friends, we are into fabrication, UPVC, aluminium, and the sort. When we go into a middle level or a little above the middle level housing today, the awareness for processed glass has already come in. There are two aspects to it. One, because of the sizes, as I mentioned, and second is the safety aspect of it. Now, that has brought about a change in the thinking of the people. Maybe, yes, about 2 or 3 years ago, every project on middle-level housing or a little higher than the middle-level housing was conceived with the annealed glass. But today, there are certain, aspects which are coming in, even on the design stage, where they are planning to bring in at least the tempered glass.
Fareed, this one's for you. I mean, we've heard glass, we've heard hardware. What do you think is the role of profiles right in the beginning when you're designing a window? Where does the role of profiles come in? And I'm talking in general, whether it's aluminum or PVC. Where do you think the profile guys step in?
See, basically, the trend is changing. Now we are trying to have contacts with the architects wherein we want to put it in the tendering stage. Okay, earlier it was at a very late stage that, okay, like now you see projects wherein it's clearly mentioned that, okay, UPVC doors and windows, which was not earlier existing. So I think that, okay, we as a profile supplier also, we need to take that initiative. We need to step forward, wherein, like Mr. Ravindran also said, and my other gentleman also said, that it's more about awareness. We also need to create that awareness amongst the complete fraternity. So right now, our objective is that we need to specify this product at the tendering stage, which was not there previously.
And when you mean specification, we're not talking brand, we're talking technical specs.
Yes, we talk about technical specs, like we talk about the wall thickness, we talk about the width of the profile, we talk about U values, we talk about all the properties, what is desired for a door and a window. We talk in terms of that. I'm not trying to say that, okay, it should be 6-chamber or 7-chamber, what is existing right now in European countries, but a decent design profile.
But I mean, I have two questions to both you gentlemen. I mean, we've seen sizes growing bigger and bigger all the time, the glass growing thicker and thicker, which means the windows are more heavier. So do you think that's a challenge for other aspects of the window? Do you think that needs to be taken into consideration right in the inception? And how important do you think is a glass, a hardware, and a profile company involvement right at the inception? How deep do you think can they be involved with you? Because if you're doing futuristic buildings here onwards, I mean, buildings which are growing taller, we're going 60, 70, 80 stories tall, we're going 100 stories tall. Where do you think does the role of these guys come right in the beginning?
No, I think the indigenous capability of doing it locally to qualify at the global level becomes very, very important. Simple thing, when we used to buy curved glass, it used to be so goddamn expensive when you had to import the panel. When the first manufacturer did it in Bangalore, we were aghast and thrilled to see what it can do to a project. It's the same. Definitely you're right. Our glass panels are becoming larger. The clients don't want grill anymore because they know that if the thief wants to come into the house, he's going to knock on the entrance door and walk in and steal you, not through the window. So therefore, you know, the understanding of the window to life is becoming different. You open the newspaper, you see a beautiful balcony, and that's what sells the apartment. Not the visual feel of a scale that you're going to jump down from the 100th floor and commit death. You know, a balcony can make a project sell. Therefore, a window can make a project sell. So deliver a quality, which is why if you go to the same street, you will find a developer who sticks to his guns and says, I'm going to give you great quality. I will charge you twice the cost for that quality. Not because I'm all in brick and ochre, because I'm quality. It works. You don't have to end up always doing 5,000 plus flats. There is a method that you buy smaller unit at super quality, then it works very well. So that consciousness, I think, we all have to collectively understand, and all of you guys have to come together as a community and not be frogs in the well and keep pulling the guy who wants to grope on. Very important.
So would you like to add on?
I want to add, sorry sir, please.
In terms of the quality of the hardware, the thickness of the glass, and the likes that you have mentioned, it's very important, particularly nowadays because of the size of the windows being big. The thickness of the glass has to increase. In many cases, we may have to go in for a DGU, double glazed unit for even windows for some of our houses. And the importance of the hardware being the best quality is very important nowadays, because even if you go from the cost point of view to a low quality hardware and then you hand over the building to the customer, the developer has to suffer for the next 1 year. Because the next 1 year is going to be the defect liability period. There is going to be several calls from the customers saying that, okay, my window is not operating. So we have to get in there and then try to repair it. So to avoid that, we have to go to a good quality. So there, at least to some extent, we have to look at not the cost, but the quality.
But does that 1 year defect liability clause play a heavy role in the beginning when you look at windows?
Absolutely, because see, over the years we have realized that we have to also cater to the, not necessarily only the 1 year defect liability period, even beyond. So we have realized that. So we have to do that. So we also ensure that we go for quality.
You are looking at 10 years, 20, 50 years, not just 1 year. I have a, please sir.
Just a small comment. See, for example, the lift industry has a certification program. If you don't get a certificate, you can't operate the goddamn lift. Do that for your windows and see how it works.
I have a question for Mr. Varghese, and there are lots of questions which are related to execution, but I'm going to cut them down due to the paucity of time. Would you think that you would desire that the developer gives you floor to floor, you do your finish installation of your windows and facades? Is that happening today? Is that good? Is that not good?
I'm not getting your question correct.
Let's say you get a project, and you have windows or doors, and the other customers give you floor to floor to finish and hand over. Usually, you do randomly the whole building, then you rework a lot, and that is cost to you, and then eventually everybody has to pay for it. So what's the scenario today there?
Luckily, it is something similar to what I answered right from first question. We are in a mess. Right from the fabricator, the developer, the consultant, we are in a mess. We are not doing things properly. We have a beautiful product. There is a desire in the sector to do better, but today everything people want yesterday. Earlier it was tomorrow, now it is yesterday. This is killing the industry. I am 25 years, out of that 20 years in the window or facade industry, I am very sorry to say that we are not giving the right product at the end of the day to the client. Maybe client also will be up to a certain extent, he is also on mistake side. What I am telling is, we are, the end of the day, fabricator is not allowed to do in a proper fashion. Before plastering, window is compelled to fix because they have to start interior parallelly. लगा दो वो सब बाद में देखा जाएगा. End of the day, when coming to the final payment, your glass is scratched, your frame is gone. We will not pay. We are all responsible, and this is complete awareness is required. As many suggested, real one solution didn't emerge there. Window, there should be a consultant. Like facade, it is really emerging very fast. Facade consultant. If they or parallelly a window consultant emerge and neutrally, very without any bias, do things here, awareness will be more faster. And everything is not lost. Many people talk about quality is not there, nothing is there, nothing like that. We are improving, and our rate of improvement in the area of quality and awareness is faster than before. It will be more faster, and it will be like nuclear reaction. Maybe within 5 years from today, we will be in a better wicket.
Thanks. I have a
problem to hai, boss. There's a big problem.
Big problem.
And I'm going to ask Pankaj and Selvam, both of them,
No,
to
Selvam-
share how do we get over the problem, A, and two, what are the different challenges you feel from the facade and the window industry? Where's the difference? Where's the challenge there? But the first question first, how do you get over, उन्होंने कहा problem है, problem से बाहर कैसे निकले?
See, while he's got 25 years experience, I have 30 years in this line, right? And, it's just that the problems have been the same, and they haven't been solved. The way the Indian market functions, right, we don't respect the timelines that have to be given to each agency of when he has to do, when he has to complete his work, and when the next job has to start. Right? It all overlaps. Right? We're doing projects now where we are, first we were being hauled up because material wouldn't come on time. I'm saying before we had a second plant. And now that we have the second plant and we're delivering on time, they're saying, please hold back. Right? So we're not ready to use them. So the problems are always there. You just have to find a way to overcome them. And one thing which was crossing my mind, and Varghese just said that, is that unless and until you have window consultants being appointed by developers and architects, this is not going to change in the window industry. Right? The facade industry changed drastically once consultants came on board. Right? I mean, everybody knows there are consultants like Global Facade Consultants, there's FITI, there's MFT, that are there in the market. And once they came in, right, the quality of finishing and controls got better. And this would not have happened if there wasn't an agency to monitor it. Right? because then the level playing field came in. Then the question of the right hardware, the right material, the right finish, the completion of the job, the testing, water testing, laboratory testing, all that came in, which was not there earlier. So once you have an agency on board, right, and they come on and they test and they check and they certify, that's when the quality is going to change, and that's where the industry is going to improve, right? And just one last point, with no offense meant, Manjunath. You just said that, you have to give a 1-year warranty and a defects liability period that you normally, during that period, you're responsible for it. But none of the builders, right, give, when you hand over a flat, right, unless you get 100%, you don't hand over the keys, right? But what you do is that from every agency, you cut 5%, right, in the sense that you keep it as a defects liability period for 1 year. Right? Why do you do that? You should also give the customer 5% off so that there is an accountability to you. Because if you have put the wrong hardware, and you've put the wrong window, right, or you haven't plastered that well and there's leakage, you got to give him money back. But all you do is the customer complains, you said, we'll send the agency to your house and we'll rectify it.
Which is why I said that we are going for better quality.
I would like to open a question to the panelists here. Sorry, sir, sorry to intrude. We have to wrap it up. Anybody would like to ask any question to either of each other?
You've got them on the firing line, so
Yeah.
Anybody with a question
Dil
wants
mein
to...
jo hai, bahar hona chahiye.
All right.
So does anybody, I cannot explain this to you. So whatever you have in your heart, you have to spell it out.
I've already got one person, so Selvan's going to be the first one. He's put his
Selvam.
hand up. He's brave.
Yeah,
Maybe
don't
he
be too
doesn't-
brave, Selvam.
Thank you all for it's wonderful time. I think it's past 10. Most of you will be hungry. Thank you all. I've been hearing a lot. I've been hearing for past 2 years. We have done a lot of work. Now we have come together to form an association for the industry. Just want to ask a question for this side, not there, right? Since we started the dialogue, there was a bit of game went on. But there was no goal. I think it is a draw, right? But from grasping it, what I see, not today, even in the past forums, I always see the pressure is put back onto the architect. Pressure is put back to the client. I was asking myself, why is it? First of all, who are they? Why they have to answer for our problems? That's the question I was asking myself. That's what I want to ask them all. Everybody say, client is giving us a bad thing. Our architect is suggesting something bad, so we are forced to work. Why you can't ask yourself, why you have to give that bad quality product? Sir, today you buy a car. The car got almost 300 suppliers. When car goes wrong, you go to the car supplier. But in our industry, when a contractor signs an agreement with the client, I'm responsible. So my view is, yes, I'm a fabricator as well. I believe we have to raise our hands and say, sorry, we can't do. Once we start saying it, once we start following quality, I think clients are not wrong or architects are not bad. I think the responsibility lies on us. That's all I'm trying to say. Whether it is a extruder, hardware supplier, fabricator, whoever it is. When I'm selling a product, I need to take the responsibility and say
we
yes.
never posed a problem. We were not posing any problem. This is an open-ended debate, and it's not about A, B passing blame to C and D. It was an open-ended debate.
That's what I'm asking.
What's the reality today is what the point is. So it's not about a problem. All this wouldn't have happened if this is all problem. This is very good. It's an awesome situation. Growing economy, growing country. Everything is good, but
my question is very clear. Why we are not taking the responsibility? That's all my question is.
No, that's more personal, but I would say that from an overall standpoint, the industry is evolving, and everybody is realizing that there is knowledge available, and you need to grasp that knowledge. Earlier, neither yourselves or the fraternity was grasping that knowledge. Now there is a lot more knowledge coming in. Everybody has to grasp it and make it real, and make it happen that, yes, like Pankaj mentioned a certain point here, the point is that there has to be different formulas for the same to achieve success. No, the formula is to achieve quality by, like you said rightly, to say no. And there will always be people who will do substandard work, and there will always be people who will accept substandard work. That's that, that's the reality of life. But in terms of making a conscious effort, all we are trying to do in this gathering is to create a conscious effort talking about certain aspects of quality and technology and what's happening today. And it's like you go to school, you learn something and you are better educated. So this is like a small pathshala where you learn that by putting a better practice and putting more awareness, using that awareness can help all of us evolve. And I think India is evolving, and I think it's a great place for opportunity. I would like to thank all our distinguished panelists here very much for this gathering. And disclaimer still alive, sir. Everybody gets still a seat. Thank you, wonderful audience. Anybody would like to ask one question? Anybody has anything in mind that would like to ask?
We'll take one final question. Anybody who's got the question of the day? Anybody who's got a question of the day? Sir. Well, this is the question of the day.
Please, Mr. Chandrasekhar.
We've had some interesting comments, so let's push them up with a question.
One is my request is if all of you can work towards standardization, that is in the sizes of windows, I think architects can really contribute towards standardization of sizes, which can reduce the cost of windows considerably. That's my opinion. And secondly, in Turkey, I have seen a book on UPVC window making. In India, I've never come across. I believe there is also a course in Turkey where they give something like our ITI technician and diplomas for window making. If some such thing can be done with our association in future, where you can certify people for manufacture of windows and installation, if such thing can be provided, that will be great. And more importantly, the standardization, I expect some contribution from all our learned people sitting on the dais. If they can contribute towards standardization, that will definitely bring down the cost of windows, because we can produce standard windows and keep it like an off-the-shelf item. You can have 5x4 sliding windows, standard, available, 1,000 in stock, 2,000 in stock. If you want tomorrow, I can give you. If you want yesterday, I can give you. Or any fabricator for that matter can give. So if people can work towards standardization, I think it will help the window industry better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chandrasekhar. I think a very logical standpoint. I don't know, but I think all these things do come around one fine day. But the process is something that neither of us can either define or say how long it will take. Thank you very much. Excellent audience. A big round of applause from the panelists for the audience, please.
Amit, I'm just going to pass the mic to Mr. Verghese for one final comment on the subject.
Further to his suggestion, beautiful suggestion, and I want to put here on record. Last 4 years, we are doing our in-house real estate. We are doing with zero wastage on glass, thanks to the standardization. And I think many people are aware, my organization doing major portion of one IT campus builder. And we are doing many projects, more than 6,000 square meter of processed glass, high-end glasses, zero wastage, thanks to standardization.
Excellent. Deepak?
We're going to close this session down. I think I'd like to thank all the gentlemen. Thank you for being on the panel. I'd like to thank ZAK, did a wonderful job, Ahad. I think the world of windows this is just a beginning. We have more to follow. Thank you very much for being here, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chuk. Thank you, Mr. Malhotra, for being the wonderful moderators. I would like to request Mr. Zakir to give away the mementos to our wonderful panelists.
Thanks.
Arvind?
Rajat, please come here, come here, Rajat. Our new boy in the making. Come. Yes, quick. Really?
Okay, done. Thank you very much.
Dollar and euros gone up.
That's fine. I can afford it.